Hey everyone, today it's getting personal. We're going to talk about e-commerce, React, and the static web. So who am I? I'm Colby Fayock. I'm the one hugging BB-8 and Kylo Ren over there. I work with the dev community as a developer advocate at Applitools. You can find me pretty much anywhere by just Googling my name, as I'm the only one in the world. So let's look back a little bit over a year ago. It both feels like it was 10 years ago and just last week. We were all able to safely go out to restaurants. We could meet up with friends and family. We could even grab a bite to eat alone. I don't think any of us expected that 2020 would be the year that we'd meet a pandemic. I know I expected 2020 to be the best year ever. But that's realistically what happened. Stores and restaurants started to shut down because they couldn't support the decline in business. I lost my favorite Chinese restaurant in Virginia. I was really hoping to hit that up one last time before I moved up to Pennsylvania. Luckily, some restaurants were able to sustain themselves. Between apps like Uber Eats and Instacart, we've been able to attempt to have normal lives, but at home. Restaurants have also attempted to offer curbside pickup for themselves, but this could be really hard for business owners, especially if they don't have the way to fulfill those orders. Because we have options out there like DoorDash and Uber Eats, these restaurants could quickly start accepting orders online without dealing with the infrastructure. Unfortunately, these services tend to cut deep into the restaurant's profits, so this definitely makes it a challenge for them. But this most certainly helped a lot of those restaurants stay afloat. The reason some of these restaurants even had an opportunity in the first place to save their business is because of e-commerce. Small brick and mortar mom and pop shops might have over 50 years of business experience, but when you're in a lockdown, a lot of those in-person advantages start to fade away. So let's talk a little bit about e-commerce. The concept of e-commerce probably isn't new to anybody here, but it's simply the act of buying and selling online. Whether you're buying a t-shirt for your favorite TV show, or you're buying some food from a local restaurant, or even filling a prescription, e-commerce gives us a way to buy things without ever leaving our home. But we're here to talk about dev, so what are some of the challenges from a developer's point of view? Well, back to our product page, beyond the typical layout like the branding and the navigation, we have some critical components to our page. The image, the title, the price and variations, the cart, and the button to add it to the cart. When we're trying to serve this page, we can't just dump it as a static website on the internet. Some of these pieces need to be highly dynamic in an online store. Parts like the image and the title, they shouldn't change very often. We can probably survive waiting out a cache refresh. Even the variation selection, we probably know all those variations ahead of time, so we can just make that a static list of options. But the price and the availability of that item, and we even need to be able to purchase it in the first place, they all need to be accurate when someone is actually trying to buy it. If the price is wrong, your customers might complain that they're getting overcharged. If someone buys that item and it's out of stock, you're stuck having to not have enough items to send out to people in the first place, meaning canceled orders and unhappy customers. With the serverable solution, this really isn't a problem. Each page request hits the server. That server renders the page, and that page can be custom tailored to the detail of those visitors' state. But we're here to talk about the Jamstack, right? I'm not planning on spinning up and maintaining a Perl server anytime soon, so how can we manage this in a Jamstack app? Well, showing some images and text on a page doesn't need to be dynamic. Leveraging the tooling we have, we can dump this on a statically generated page and into object storage. We can even display a bunch of products in a grid. That also doesn't need to be dynamic. There's nothing necessarily special with how this page needs to be put together. And to be clear, I'm not sure if Space Cadet, the store that I've been showing here, is actually static, but beyond the typical content management solution that triggers a new deploy on update, this doesn't need to be real-time dynamic. Back again to our product page, the vast majority of this page can still be static. Our images and meta information can be served directly from static hosting. We can let that refresh with a new deploy when something changes. To provide the dynamic aspects, we can take advantage of client-side requests. We can pull that price directly from our e-com platform like Stripe so that it's always up to date. For our cart, we can store that cart state in local storage, or we can use a serverless function to hit a database where we would store that information. The stock is probably the trickiest thing of all this. Imagine a website like Amazon, where you may literally have a million people trying to buy one product at the same time. And on top of that, that product might have limited stock. You need to be able to support very quick read and writes to avoid overselling that product. Content management systems aren't really equipped for that type of thing. So you want an ecom service with inventory management built right in, or a performant database solution. That way you can avoid unhappy customers. Now, those are probably the bigger challenges you'll face with it specifically for e-commerce. But what other advantages does Jamstack give you right out of the box? Well, once we have those core pages in storage, we can serve them directly from a CDN. Those pages are going to get served from locations at least relatively close to your visitors, which means they're going to get served super fast, which is a good thing because people want their pizza really fast. Like here, Little Caesars uses Gatsby for their website and ordering experience. Beyond having hungry customers, page speed is important because it directly correlates to conversion rate. If you're not familiar, conversion rate is the percentage of your traffic that actually buys something. There are a ton of studies on this, but eBay, for instance, found a 0.5% increase in conversion rate with a 100 million millisecond load time improvement. That might not sound like a lot, but eBay is worth over $10 billion. So just as an example, 0.5% of 1 billion is 5 million. So that adds up pretty quickly. In bonus, serving static files on a CDN most likely means less downtime. The fact that the page files are static and on top of that cached at the edge, you don't need to really worry about how your website will scale aside from the APIs. There's less of a chance you're going to get taken down by the Reddit hug of death, which could mean lost money if people can't buy your products. It's also going to be cheap. While this might not matter as much for some big corporations, for small business owners and individuals, every cent counts. The fact that there are so many Jamstack services out there with free tiers, you can literally get up and running with a store for free, and then scale the cost of processing your payments as you grow. All right, so now that we have an idea about what we're getting ourselves into, where do we actually start with this? The awesome thing is there's a ton of solutions out there that are ready to get you started for bringing up an online store. E-commerce has been a big industry for a while now, but in the Jamstack space, we already have some awesome solutions and it's only going to keep growing. For instance, Snipcart is a drop-in solution that lets you easily add a shopping cart to pretty much any type of website. Once you add in the Snipcart script from a CDN, you literally just need to add some class names and data attributes with your product data. And you pretty much immediately have a shopping cart on your website backed by their platform. This includes the entire checkout process, inventory management, and payment processing. Or if you want to dig in a little bit deeper with a custom solution, you can choose your favorite framework like Next.js and create your own shopping cart. Since at that point, you have the flexibility of building an app with React, and on top of that, you can manage your own shopping cart state with React's useState hook, you can provide the exact experience that you want for your customers. If you want a custom experience but don't want to manage the tricky cart state, you can even use a pre-built library like Use Shopping Cart, which will give you a hook that's out of the box, will immediately allow you to get productive with cart state in your app. But either way, once you have your cart state, you can use something like Stripe Checkout, where you can push your customers into a checkout solution. While Stripe Checkout won't handle all of the aspects of an online store, similar to Snipcart, Stripe will handle the checkout process, which is one of the bigger pain points when actually trying to take people's money. If you want to learn how to build your own Next.js and Stripe Checkout solution, you can check out my course on egghead.io. We'll walk through building a shop with Stripe Checkout. We'll use React hooks and the context API to create a global cart state. I'll include it in my talk notes, or you can go to colbyfayok.com/ecom. So what's stopping you from spinning up a new store? With the Jamstack, it's even easier than ever to build your own store online and sell your own products, whether it's stickers, swag, or your next ebook. If you want more resources on either the Jamstack or e-commerce, you can check out my book at jamstackhandbook.com. You can also check out an article I wrote for Snipcart where it talks more about e-commerce and React. It also includes a step-by-step tutorial for how you can actually get started with Snipcart. You can check out the link here, or I'll include it in my talk notes as well. And that's it. If you want to chat more about this talk or just generally anything, you can find me everywhere at Colby Fayok. I'll also tweet out a link to some of the stuff you've seen here today. Thanks, everyone.